Hey, you're watching GearWire.com. I'm Owen O'Malley, and I'm here with Jason Caddell from the Dismemberment Plan. How's it going?
Good. How are you, Owen?
I'm doing well, actually.
Good.
Yeah. Let's talk about your sort of live rig a little bit. You play Schecter guitars?
I do. And that's a legacy from our relationship with Jawbox back in the day, a band from DC. A couple of the people in that band, at the time, we were active, like pre-2003, ran the label that we were on. And they had an endorsement from Schecter that they actually got connected with through Stone Temple Pilots, of all people. Yeah, it's a weird little chain. But yeah, that's how I ended up on playing Schecters.
And what's the rest of your rig? What amp are you playing through?
Right now, I have a terrible, awful boutique amp habit. Like, I'm one of those nerds. As I get older, it seems to it's relaxed a lot from where it used to be. But I play a Tone King, which is there's a Baltimore amp manufacturer named Mark Bartell. It's the scariest amp I've ever heard in my life. Like, for a tube amplifier, there's so much fidelity and so much speed of signal, which just essentially means like whatever you do on the guitar is reproduced instantaneously in the amp. And for a tube amp to not have that kind of characteristic sag or give can be a little off-putting, but it's brilliantly clear and like the most hi-fi guitar amp that I've ever used. It sounds beautiful. I mean, this is a really interesting philosophy of amp building that's based way more on listening to records than it is on like resistors and capacitors and stuff.
I mean, is it scary because it's like revealing?
Yeah. Absolutely. So all my mistakes are just as loud as the non-mistakes.
Is it a switching amp, or is it like single channel, or like?
It's got a lead channel, but the lead channel I don't use that often. The tube component is 4 6v6s, which have always been my favorite tubes. Also found, if I remember, let me not misspeak myself on the freaking internet, but I'm pretty sure that Vibroluxes and Deluxes both have 6v6s. Like, they're very kind of even sounding tube. They don't tend to emphasize one thing over the other, tonally speaking. You can put a bunch of different tubes in this amp, like a lot of modern boutique amps, but he stocks them with 6v6s, and that's what I've stayed with. The lead channel is very, very, very aggressive, and not in like a Mesa Boogie kind of way, in more like a Kinks on fucking steroids kind of way, like super boxy, super bitey, Vox-ish.
Like fuzz-tony almost?
Not fuzz-tony, like way more like kind of boxy, mid-rangey, Kinksy kind of, like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, it's a superbly classic rock and roll sound. It doesn't kind of have any analogous contemporary tonalities, and so it's also it's gained a lot hotter on the B side of that amp, or the B side of that amp is gained a lot hotter than the rhythm channel. So I end up just staying on the rhythm channel because it's too much futzing to kind of even out the levels and not totally like suddenly I'm louder than the drums. Yeah.
Do you have a lot of effects? Are you a guy that kind of collects effects, or?
Not so much. I mean, I got a few. I have I play through a Diamond Compressor, which is a Canadian company, into Super Duper, which is Zachary Vex's impedance mucking about box. And I have a Fuzz Factory, which is probably the pedal that I've owned the longest, about 12 years, 14 years now, which is delightfully uncontrollable and blazingly insane.
That's ZVEX also, right?
Yeah, it is, yep.
You've ever gotten a chance to interact with Zachary Vex, or no?
Have not. I mean, that Fuzz Factory though is like next to my guitars is the thing I've had the longest. Yep.
So what you know about pro audio, has that been experiential, or did you? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, most of the work that I do, I totally fumbled into the business in which I now make my living. Like, I didn't even know it existed until 2003, or that it was as big as it is, because it's enormous. I kind of made a choice at that point to stay away from music because I had already spent a decade plus in that part of the world, and I just wanted to do different stuff. And so I eventually kind of built up my skills in AV over 7 or 8 years, and now do some pretty freaking sizable events, a lot of travel nationally and internationally, and I've just learned a lot about tonality, I think, and how important it is to kind of like to level match and gain match whatever signals you have, because when you're using an enormous PA like the size of the PAs that we have here, the amount of amplification you have backing everything up really makes those differences in levels stand out. And so you can be out in the crowd and you're like, where's the freaking keyboard player? Like I see the guy playing but I don't hear him. And when you're in a corporate environment like rock and roll environment, people are like, hey, it's cool, man. You got a visitor there, Junebug. I kind of couldn't hear the keys, but whatever, we're drinking beer, it's great. But when you've got like somebody from, I'm going to be working for the State Department in San Francisco in September, and when somebody from the State Department is standing over your shoulder going like, we need this to hear this now.
We have a file on you.
Well, yeah, or that. Like just the pressure is different, and I think it kind of makes you sort of snap to attention in terms of audio hygiene, and that those habits, now that we've kind of come back to doing the Dismemberment Plan stuff, have totally reflected or have totally made me think about that stuff a lot more. So I'm a lot more conscious of my own levels, and like when I step on the freaking fuzz factory, which can be way louder than freaking everything else, it's just like, well, let's kind of do some work to make sure that I'm not swamping everybody. And like, it's one of those things like that I didn't realize this or really think about it until I got older, you know, probably post the Dismemberment Plan Mach 1 or whatever. But like bands that are amazing and sound amazing, and the band that's totally popping to my head right now is Los Lobos, those are dudes that know how to mix themselves. Like, forget, you can set up the PA and you can turn it up and put mics on whatever you want, but it almost kind of doesn't matter because those dudes are all listening to each other. They've been playing for 25 years, and they get off on guitar fuzz tones as much as everybody else does, but they also understand, like, you know, I can't step on this freaking thing and then the sax goes away. Like, we're a band. These are songs. That's how it works. And it kind of, like, it's funny that way to have that understanding that seems so basic much later, to just be like, oh, wow.
That's excellent, man. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us. Yeah, great to meet you.
Great to meet you.